Okay, so you are probably a new or returning player and really excited about Guild Wars Reforged, but chances are you are not really sure which profession or which class to choose. Well, first of all, we are glad to have you here. Welcome to Guild Wars 1 and I hope you will have a great time. In this video, I will guide you through all 10 Guild Wars 1 professions, show you their unique features, the roles, attributes and the very basic gameplay of each class. You may have heard that this or that profession is the best, and my very first tip is to not believe any of those things, because there is no best class in the game. You can beat the game, you can max titles, complete whole of monuments, you can have fun with all 10 professions, all of them are capable of doing basically any casual content. Of course, if we are talking about specific things like solo farming, speed clears, PvP, etc., some professions are stronger than the others, but generally speaking, there isn't one best class in this game. So my second tip is that if you fancy one character over the others because you have probably seen a YouTube video somewhere or read good things about that, that's alright, give it a try and don't let others discourage you from doing so. Anyway, I've made one guide for each and every profession of Guild Wars 1, those videos are still quite up to date and the links are in the description. Now, if you're only interested in one or two of the classes, you better check those videos, but if you're looking for a general review about the professions, keep watching and let's do this. The mightiest of the mighty, the bravest of the brave, the warrior is the master of melee combat and heavy armor. I think this line from Wiki perfectly summarizes this profession. Warriors in Guild Wars 1 are the typical hack and slash characters. So if you enjoy being a frontline character or a tank who can absorb damage, or if you like DPS roles, then the warrior is the good choice for you. The warrior's unique attribute is called strength. This ability adds some extra armor penetration to the warrior attacks, meaning you'll be doing some extra damage when using attack skills. The three main attributes are connected to the warrior's weapons. Typically warriors use heavy martial weapons like axes, swords and hammers. Now swords and axes are one-handed weapons and you can equip your character with a shield if you are using them and fight like that. Axes and swords can hit enemies quite fast while keeping your armor strong. Now hammers are quite the opposite since they are two-handed weapons, ergo you can't use a shield with them and you lose some armor. And I know that this may sound not worth it, but trust me, hammers are probably the biggest fun that a warrior can do. You can knock down whole armies, you can keep them on the ground for quite a long time, and the knockdown in Guild Wars 1 is probably the best way to stop your enemies from doing anything, so hammers are strong as hell. Anyway, all three warrior weapons have skills that can inflict different conditions and skills that are adrenaline based. The last warrior attribute is called tactics. This is mostly different stances and shouts, self-heal and blocking skills, speed boost and stuff like these. Also good to know, warriors can use out basically any martial weapon if they want, especially since 2020 when they got a very overpowered elite skill called 7 weapon stance, so don't be surprised if you see warriors with daggers, scythes or even spears and bows. Okay, moving on, ranger is our next profession. Now rangers can do a bunch of cool stuff, they have probably the highest diversity of the martial classes. There is an attribute called Beastmaster, so yeah, rangers can have pets. If you choose this option, you will get a powerful ally. Pets can be super tanky and they have one of the best single target damage in the game, and Beastmasters can solo quite many areas too. Like if you enjoy doing stuff on your own, you can do that with a pet. Then there is marksmanship, the classic Legolas type Bowmaster character, and as a Bowmaster you can do interrupts, pretty decent damage using bows and arrows, and let's not forget that you can hit your enemies from afar before anyone else in the group. And this is always a big advantage compared to melee classes. Rangers have a unique attribute called expertise. Now this is what makes them so diverse because, you know, expertise decreases the cost of attack skills by a lot, and not just ranger attack skills are affected, but attack skills from other professions too. Meaning if you are bored of using a bow or a pet, you can go into melee range and use dagger or axe, scythe, hammer and so on and so on. Good to know, rangers have great armor against elemental damage and they can be quite tanky too. They have many blocking skills to make themselves tough when needed. There is another attribute I haven't mentioned yet, it's called Wilderness Survivor. Several traps, preparations and nature rituals can be found in this group of skills. You know, preparations are quite fun by the way. Usually if you are wielding a bow you can put up some preparations to deal more damage or to inflict conditions, interrupt enemies and do other useful stuff. So rangers are a good choice for those players who are looking for a very diverse character that can be decent frontline or midline as well. Okay, our next profession is the monk. After some damage-oriented classes, finally some fresh air and a support role. So monk is a typical healer role in Guild Wars 1. You may not know, but all classes have some self-healing skills, but if you're in a group as a monk, your teammates will probably not bring any self-heal and expect you to keep them alive. Well, monks are an excellent support class and they have 3 default gaming styles. The first is the healer monk. They rely on healing prayers and can heal their allies very efficiently, put enchantments on them and keep the whole group alive. The second is the protective or proter monk. They use protection prayer skills, mostly enchantments, to reduce the received damage significantly, making themselves or their allies almost impossible to defeat for short periods of time. Well, there is a third version to the Smiter Monk. They can do decent damage with smiting prayer skills. They can do holy damage that hurts undead enemies badly. They can buff melees to deal even more damage and plenty of good stuff. In my opinion, these are the 3 classic directions, but if you want, you can combine being a healer and a proter, or heal and smiting, or prot and smiting. You can mix things up as much as you want. All these attributes possess several skills that can remove conditions and hexes from allies, skills that can resurrect dead allies, and what makes monks unique is their attribute called Divine Favor. Basically, each time you use a monk spell on an ally, that ally gets a little bit extra healing. So guys, if you enjoy being in the backline and focus on keeping your teammates alive, the monk profession is a good choice, but keep in mind the healer and proter roles are not really beginner friendly and they require some higher understanding of the game. The next profession is the necromancer. If I said that rangers have a diversity, necromancers have just as many, if not more. You may ask what makes them so diverse. Well, soul reaping gives them an almost never-ending source of energy. So as long as there are fresh corpses nearby, the necromancers will never run out of energy. This way necros can do pretty much any coaster role, so there is a death magic necro who can create an epic minion army. Minions are great meat shields, they can slow down enemies, you can blow up minions and deal even more damage to your enemies, and it's a lot of fun. If you want, you can rely on blood magic and steal your opponent's health points, or provide crucial energy regeneration to your teammates, or support the melees with extra adrenaline gain, armor penetration and more. The curses attribute is quite self-evident. You put deadly curses on your enemies, killing them fast or slowly in the process. They can miss their attacks, they can lose their HP while casting spells or hitting your party members. There are plenty of different types. Necros can be great healers too if they choose the Ritualist secondary. Like I said, Soul Reaping provides great energy management for them, and they can do some heal and coaster support with blood magic and Ritualist skills. This role is very common these days. You provide both heal and energy regen to your teammates. If this wouldn't be enough, there is another fun necro role. This is like the Reaper. You do crazy high damage using sacrifice skills, Scythe and some self-heal. This build is also somewhat new, came out in the 2020 update. So guys, necromancers have a lot of variations, some roles are beginner friendly, some are less, but you will definitely find fun here. Alright, moving on, Mesmer is our next class. I think Mesmers are very unique to the Guild Wars franchise. I mean, there are not many games where you can do things like slow down your enemies, stop their attacks, interrupt their skills, make your enemies lose their energy so they can't use skills, or even knock down whole armies. Yeah, Mesmers can do all that, and they are very strong in soloing content as well. Their unique attribute is called fast casting, and what it does is make the Mesmers activate and recharge skills faster. Meaning you can spam a bunch of strong Mesmer spells faster than other classes can use their own spells, and the cooldown on those spells are also decreased. If you want to focus on dealing high damage, you should choose Domination Magic. This is probably the most common Mesmer attribute these days, and you will see Mesmers running Domination Magic builds pretty much everywhere and doing crazy high damage, interrupting enemy skills and shutting down whole groups. Illusion Magic Mesmers are also great for dealing damage. They can slow down enemies, make martial classes suffer from their anti-melee hexes, they can interrupt attacks and inflict conditions. Then there is Inspiration Magic that can help with energy management, self-heal, extra armor, enchantment removal and other stuff. The best thing about Mesmers is that they deal armor ignoring damage, meaning it doesn't matter how big armor your enemies have, you will do the same damage on them. And of course the fast casting ability helps a lot. When you can recharge skills like 50% faster permanently, that's a game changer. So guys, Mesmers are very meta these days. However, not really beginner friendly and it takes a lot of time to master them. Moving on, Elementalist is the next one. Allies are the typical nuker rule in Guild Wars 1. They can bind to the 4 elements very efficiently and do a bunch of fun stuff. For pure damage builds you can go Fire Magic or Air Magic. These two have the highest damage of the classic Elementalist builds. Fire Magic skills have very spectacular skill animations too. You can burn your enemies, you can nuke them to death with the Firestorm, Fireball, Meteor Shower and all the classic fire nuke skills. Air Magic is a bit different because they can actually penetrate armor, unlike other Elementalist skills. So you can knock down fools or even blind fools with Air Magic and also do serious damage meanwhile. We have 2 more elements, Water Magic and Earth Magic. Water Magic is mostly about how to slow down your enemies or heal your teammates a bit or make your enemies miss their attacks. This stuff is not really used these days, at least in casual PvE. It's pretty rare, but it can be fun in a full Elementalist team. Earth Magic is quite frequently used though. You can make your Elementalist a great tank, you can solo content with this, you can prevent enemy spells being used against you, you can increase your armor and reduce the incoming damage. By the way, allies have several ward skills too. A ward is like a protecting magical circle and anyone who runs into this circle gets some protection, sometimes more armor, sometimes HP regen, block chance, etc. Elementalists have the highest energy pool of all classes due to their unique attribute called energy storage. They can easily have 2 or even 3 times more energy than other classes, helping them spam energy heavy skills very easily. Anyway, Elementalists can be a great healers too with different monk skills, however usually they take the nuker role in the party. I think most Elementalist builds are quite beginner friendly, so yeah, you can't go wrong with this one. Assassin is the next class. They are the typical rogue or stealth role. They wield daggers, have high damage output and they are in the front line, but they can also be great tanks if needed. Their unique attribute, critical strikes, provide them plenty of energy and some extra damage when they land a critical hit. They can do a bunch of stuff due to critical strikes. They can destroy fools quickly with daggers. This is their most common way of killing a target. And not just that they have great damage, but they also have useful features like knockdowns and conditions. They also have some diversity due to critical strikes and an elite skill called Shadow Theft. They can use scythes, swords, hammers, basically any martial weapon pretty well and deal significant damage to their enemies. Then we have deadly arts with different hexes, conditions and other assassin shenanigans. Then there is Shadow Arts, which is probably the most often used attribute in the whole game, because Shadow Arts can make your character a great tank, give you damage reduction, self-heal, spell prevention, it can teleport you to your target or escape from your target, plenty of useful skills come from this attribute, and it makes assassins great in soloing content as well. By the way, the base dagger builds are very easy to use, very beginner friendly, and if you are bored of daggers after some time, you can still try out other weapons since assassin offers several different game styles. Alright, Ritualist is our next profession. Ritualist can do pretty much everything. They can do huge damage, they can protect the whole party, they can even heal their allies. It's up to you what you want. Really, they are like a jack of all trades class, like the Necros. Many times the Ritualists rely on spirits that can be offensive or defensive spirits too, or they can hold bundle items in their hands. Now those bundle items can be offensive or defensive again, like if you drop an item you may do huge damage to your enemies who are close to you, but if you drop another bundle item you may heal your allies or weaken enemies, etc. The first Ritualist attribute is Communing. The best defensive spirits all come from Communing, but there are some offensive skills here too, spirits that can knock down enemies, blind fools, remove enchantments, block your opponent's attacks and more. Then we have Restoration Magic. This is where you will find the best healing abilities. Like I said, Ritualists are great healers too. They can resurrect dead allies, they can remove conditions, they can put weapon spells on their allies to make them stronger, give them more HP or other form of protection. The next one is Channeling Magic. This is where the best DPS Ritu builds can be found. Imagine a spirit army with great single target damage. This makes Ritualists great in soloing pretty much any content. Then they have item spells too that can do huge damage when dropped, plenty of great skills to destroy your enemies. Then we have Spawning Power, the Ritualist unique attribute. This one makes their spirits stronger, gives the spirits more HP, higher armor, make weapon spells last longer, and some skills from this group even make other spirit skills recharge super fast, so you can spam spirits like crazy. So yeah, Ritualists can do a bunch of cool stuff It's a great choice for beginners because many of these spirit spammer builds are very easy to use but strong as hell. Okay, moving on, Paragon is the next one. So Paragons are a true support role. They throw spears at their enemies, they have high armor, they also have a shield and spam shouts 24/7. Generally speaking, they are not expected to do a lot of damage themselves, but they buff their party members so much that we can easily say that the strongest groups always have a Paragon in them. Their Spear Mastery attribute isn't too strong, but honestly they don't even need to do huge damage themselves, they just need to build up adrenaline with their spear attacks and buff their allies like crazy. And this is what command, motivation and leadership do. There are many skills called shouts, chants and echoes in these three attributes that will give the Paragon's allies increased attributes, HP regen, damage reduction, extra armor, faster movement speed, block chance and pretty much anything you can imagine. So yeah, a good Paragon will make their team pretty much unstoppable. Leadership is their bread and butter, their best energy management. Without this, they wouldn't be able to use their skills as fast as they can. Basically, anytime a shout or chant is used by you, your Paragon gets some energy back. The more energy, the more allies are affected. And because of this, Paragons are able to use skills and weapons from other professions quite well. Sometimes you will see Paragons using assassin and dagger skills and actually do decent damage while maintaining all their buffs on their teammates. So Paragons are not the typical solo content profession, they work best in a big group, and if you're looking for a profession that can make others shine brighter as long as you support them, Paragons will be a good choice. And last but not least, the Dervish. You may not know, but there are Dervishes in real life too. Anyway, Dervish is a typical frontline DPS role. They don't have as high armor as warriors or Paragons do, but with a lot of enchantments they can be just as tanky if not more. They attack with Scythes. These are two-handed weapons and can hit 3 enemies at once. Because of that, Dervishes have very great spiking abilities. They can destroy big groups of enemies with different enchantments, but they can also heal themselves or even heal their allies, and let's not forget they can take the form of the gods with epic avatar skills. Their unique attribute Mysticism gives them extra armor while they are enchanted and reduces the cost of Dervish enchantment, so this is their most important ability by far. Basically, if you are a Dervish and have multiple enchantments on you, you become significantly stronger and harder to defeat. The avatar forms are also in the mysticism group, and some other skills that can prevent spells being used against you are here, so Dervish is another good class for soloing content. Earth players have plenty of skills to do great damage and skills that can make the Dervish almost invincible, like regenerate HP or block attacks. Scythe mastery is obviously for scythe attacks. Some do pure damage, some inflict conditions, remove enchantments from enemies or even knock down foes. Wind prayer skills might give you fast movement speed or steal health from enemies, even heal yourself or transfer conditions back to your enemies. By the way, Dervishes are the best runners in the game. They can easily maintain 50% increased movement speed, and if you're looking for a profession that can do great damage, rely on enchantments, be a great tank and use a scythe, the Dervish can offer a new gameplay compared to other classic martial classes. So there you have it, folks. I've tried to cover the most common roles of each profession and I tried to give you some tips to help you decide on your next character. Hopefully I didn't miss out any of the major ones. You know, there are way more roles and game styles than what you have seen in this video, but at least you've got a taste of the classic ones. I haven't really talked about secondary professions, but it's good to know that you can try out and use almost any skill quite well from your secondary profession too, and you can change your secondary profession quite easily after some progress in the campaigns. The only exceptions are the unique attributes. Those are limited to your primary class, meaning if you are a warrior and have strength as a primary attribute, you can't invest into divine favor or energy storage or any other primary attribute. If you're still confused which profession to choose, let me know in a comment what roles you enjoy in MMORPGs and give me some details and I will give you some tips. Anyway, the vids got quite long now, no time for other things, but let me know if you'd be interested in some tier list videos like best class for solo farming or best for speed clears or any other categories. As always, thanks for watching, subscribe to my channel if you haven't, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed and see you next time.